Hello everyone and welcome SimRacing Asia GTE series presented by SIMMSA and the Macau-China SimRacing Association. We are live on ApexRacingTV from beautiful Indianapolis Motor Speedway. My name is Marco Barbanera. Scott Newton is behind the cameras. Wei-Yan Chan is with me in the booth, and yes, we are unbelievably on time, ready to start. Wei-Yan, we had a little bit of issues here and there, but seems like we are ready to go.
Absolutely, Marco. Hello, everyone. We come to the racing capital of the world here for round 7 here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a place with so much history. And the race will be unfolding in just a moment's time.
Yes, so cars are side by side as they get ready to take the green flag in this first race. The finishing order of race 1 will of course determine the starting order for race 2 as well. So you can see the cars are on the high banks, or not very high banks, of Indianapolis. Pace car is in, and we are racing for the first of two 25-minute races here today at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Good start there at the front by the BMW as they go down the first corner. There's a lot of hard braking going on there. Kevin Wang, you can see Simon Sanchez, Andy Maulana, everyone scrapping for positions there. Abhi Putra seems like was able to take the best start of them all and run away. So for the time being, we have Putra, Stanley, Jali, Estornino, and Grant Crow in the first 5 positions. And then you can see right now Ferris Stanley here in his very, very brightly colored Porsche 911, Porsche RSR, let's call it, I forgot the name, with Jali and Putra, one behind and one in front of him. So a clean start seems to be Wei-Yan.
Of course, a brilliant start by Abhi Putra, who currently leads Ferris Stanley, who sits in P2. I think Ferris did quite a aggressive move down the inside, dive down the inside earlier on, but now they rejoin the oval section as they come and approach the final corner. Because this is full throttle for these guys at this I think 15-degree banked corner, right-hander, 10 to 15 degrees, can't remember. Abhi Putra, your race leader at the end of lap 1 and the start of lap 2.
Yes, so Putra, Stanley and Jali, the status quo remains the same. Andy Maulana must have had an issue there at the start because he is in the pits already. And of course, this is not a race where you have to pit, so something must have happened there. But yeah, apart from that, a clean start from everyone. Garo Sarafian didn't take the green flag. So, let's see how these drivers are going to approach the race. Of course, when you have 3 teammates there at the front, it's always... Oh, we had this situation last week, of course, when they swept all the podium spots for the 2 races that we had. Let's see if it stays the same this week or not. Seems like Putra has been able to create a little bit of a gap, but Jali and Stanley are very close to each other, and behind them there's this long snake of cars. Of course, Wei-Yan, this is a track that it's very, very flat. Not the most spectacular of racetracks, as it has been also host for the F1 World Championship in the past. But just the fact of being in Indianapolis is a big plus.
Absolutely. Well, the uniqueness of this track comes not from the layout, but from its history. As we just said that Peter Cowiter, good to see him here as he has his teammate Grant Crow battling for P5. So this is a teammate side by side as they come full speed through the main straight and hard on the brakes as they come into turn 1. A little bit of a lockup by Joel Estornino up in P4, and it does look like Peter is holding on to P5 well and strong at this point. Kevin Huang sits in P7 behind the SIMMSA, ISR SIMMSA teammates. As they approach this section. Sorry, Marco.
No, I might have told this story many times, but if you drive with Project Cars 2, you might have Peter as one of your rivals. Because I think he took part in the development or invested in the game in the early stages. And so one of the names of the AI is Peter Cowiter, among others, very well-known Eracers, I might add. So every once in a while I battle against him. Even in virtual form, he is still much, much faster than me.
That's good to know, man. Yeah, you see the sim racing world is this small. Now let's hope that Peter has some elements, embodies some elements of the artificial intelligence that could well be same pace, faster, slower than him. I'm not too sure, but it does seem that Peter is doing well tonight. Of course, he heads the sponsorship initiative by SIMSA for SimRacers Asia. Now, to look a little bit further back for any possible battles that may be ongoing, Simon Sanchez and Ferdian Aditya Pratama, P9 and P10 respectively. These are also some good drivers before us who have been racing hard all season long. As we ride on board, Pratama seems to be having fun here in this series. He now sits behind Simon Sanchez. And as we observe the way he takes his car through this section, now at this part, flat out right-hander, here it is. At this section, it's all about trying to maintain your speed and not lose too much momentum as you make your way through this area. As we just said, that a little bit loss of traction there. But now they come to this relatively short backstretch in the infield.
Yes, I remember one of the McLaren blowing an engine here in the very first United States Grand Prix back in the day, right in front of a Mercedes-Benz outboard, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that was a long time ago, 19 years ago. It seems like yesterday, but yeah, it wasn't. It was a long time ago. As they go back to the, of course, we are taking the oval section the wrong way, which as an oval guy, it has never been right with me. It's always been weird. But this gives the cars a massive launch through this first very hard braking corner here at the chicane. And if you make a mistake, you can go pretty safely straight on, because worst that can happen, you are going to take the oval section, and that will be that. So you don't run the risk of hitting something, any kind of wall, etc. I remember back in the day of F1 2002 for PC, you could edit a little bit of a string in the track INI file, and you could make a tire wall invisible, or sorry, and basically with your car in F1 you could run around the oval counterclockwise, of course. Clockwise, so the wrong way around. Oh, but yeah, those were the early days of modding. Back to iRacing, which is right now, the premier simulator. And of course, Weian, we are having many races today on this particular venue. We had majors in the Indy 500 earlier today. We're going to have the official Indy 500, I think, later today. And we are taking a little bit of a break in between some oval racing with the very quick guys of the SRA GTE series. Seems like Jolly has, fell behind Stanley and falling into the clutches of a very surprising, even though he's very quick, but maybe for the first time this season we are seeing Joel Estornino in fighting for a podium spot, which is good to see.
Good to see indeed, because these are all fast drivers themselves, and it is good to see personalities play out against one another. Of course, they're all gentlemen in real life, but once your helmet is on, once your visor is down, it's all or nothing. As you just seen Jasreen drive right under us, he currently sits in P3, and I'm very sure Joel wants a taste of that podium. Now,
yes.
The fastest lap is currently held by Abhirafti Putra, is that correct? 1 minute 22.27, which means he has the best lap time within this session. I do apologize. 22.6, currently held by Joel Estornino.
Yeah, I think Abhi Putra's time has been done via some sort of maybe an off-track or something, but apart from that, let's the Macau SimRacing BMW, beautiful livery, of course, we always say this, the beautiful Macau flag perfectly integrated on the roof of the car, creates a very unique style, and the BMW and Estornino, they seem to be edging closer and closer to the Y-Lab Porsche of Geyser in Jolly. I think we're going to have a battle very quickly between these two guys, and let's see how they are going to. Because Weyand, realistically, the only passing spot is there at the end of the front stretch. So you really need to be brave. We know that in this championship the drivers are very drive in a very gentlemanly way. They don't force the issue. They don't, when possible, don't try to defend too hard. It's all done in a very, very nice way. But I think if you want to make a move, you have to be a little bit brave, because unless Jolly makes a mistake, and it's tough to make a mistake in this corner, then Estorino needs to get a massive run on the front stretch and then go for a little bit of a risky move there in turn 1.
Now the trick I believe drivers make use of at this circuit is to optimize their racing line in the sense that they want to carry as much pace as possible past the corners, like the one that just happened right before that, which Joel did so brilliantly right before this main stretch. Now they come on the brakes onto turn 1 and turn 2. Now this is the section where you don't actually require much braking, or rather right here you do have to brake. But this is where it's all about positioning your car at the right position in order not to find yourself at the wrong side of the circuit, or rather at the wrong side, left and right of the circuit, leaving space for the car behind you to overtake. Now this backstretch, this is I would consider this to be another possible, not exactly an overtaking zone, but a zone where you set yourself up for this this section that they are about to approach now.
Yeah, the driver in front has to make a small mistake there if you want to have a chance, but could also be a nice chance for you to set up then a pass, because you have to be very, very close to your opponent if you want to get a good run. It seems to me like Estornino might have a decent run this time around, maybe not close enough, but you can see we had the gap on the bottom right side of your screen until just a few seconds ago. It's really coming. Here it is again. It's really coming down lap after lap, and now it's the smallest it has ever been. 0.2 of a second. Will Estornino go for a move? He thought about it, then said better to wait just a bit more. It was going to be super close there between the two of them. So for the time being, Estornino remains in 4th, but he's really, really looking to be the biggest threat to a possible third straight podium lockout for Y-Lab Motorsport.
Now it's these two drivers fighting out. I think that there still are some brilliant battles that are taking place perhaps further down the field. Kevin Huang currently still sits in P7, but it does look like Grand Crow has retaken 5th place from his teammate Peter Cowiter, who currently sits in P6. Now they come onto this section now, right after that backstretch there.
Oh,
it does look like
Grand
Crow has gone wide, so he's cut the circuit there, so he might be prompted to slow down for a bit and allow his teammate to regain that position. Now yes, Peter Cowiter, who's clawed back to P5, and with the pace disadvantage that Grand Crow has now owing to that slowdown, it does look like Kevin is going to make a move ahead of Grand Crow anytime at this part of the circuit. Now this is Kevin Huang along the outside as they go full throttle down the main straight. It's a move going to come to fruition by Kevin Huang as he takes the outside line at this point. Hard on brakes he goes. I think he might have brushed the wall a little bit there. And it does seem like Grant has still managed to hold on to P6.
Yeah, great defending there from Grand Crow, because it's not easy to defend, especially after taking a slowdown just before a massive straight like we have here in Indianapolis. So that was some good defending. Of course, he lost his position to Cowiter there, his teammate, but Kevin Huang needs to wait. I think it's one more chance. Let's see if Crow can come back and attack his teammate there in the next few laps. He lost quite a bit, 1.2 seconds if I'm not mistaken, now the gap between the two ISR SIMMSA drivers. So let's see if he is able to close the gap or not.
As you ride on board Kevin Huang, and we now obtain a better perspective of how his battle for P6 looks like from his point of view. Of course, selecting the line of the path of least resistance through the second to last corner and coming to the final banked right-hander where it is full throttle for the cars here. Sitting in the slipstream he goes. So is it going to be the inside-outside? Does look like Kevin has committed, or rather he's decided to come to the inside line this time, opposed to the last lap. Kevin Huang along the inside, but is just not close enough to make the move up to P6. That's currently held by Grant Crow. So Grant still holds on and defends his position successfully.
Yes, so just wait one more time. Kevin Wang does. So it's going to be one less chance as we are heading into the final 10 minutes of the race. Estornino's charge for P3 seems to have stopped for just a bit. Let's see if he can come back to Jaser Injali in the next few laps. And as I say that, the gap comes down to 0.2 of a second now, growing once again, so it might not be over for that third place battle. But this battle for P6 also seems to be anything, it seems to be very, very open. So let's see Kevin Wang. Of course, Weian, when you get a slowdown and make a mistake, go to the grass, it's always tough then to get back into a proper rhythm and collect yourself, because you have to forget about your mistake in an instant.
Very much so, just because of the nature of this circuit, as we see a defensive move by Grant Crow going into the inside and returning to the outside to try to prevent Kevin from taking the inside line. So it's not easy. It's not difficult, neither is it easy to hold on to your position at this place. But the gap between Kevin and Grant sit around 0.6 of a second. Our cameras are back to Jasrin Jali with Joel Estornino in P4. Gap between them is extended to 0.5 of a second, but now they complete the first sequence of corners and they head to this infield section, this rather short straight here, as we now ride on the bumper camera of Jasrin and have a look at the choice of line that Estornino is electing to take, whether or not it is a path of least resistance or for more power output.
Yeah, seems like it's going to be not very easy to drive that BMW around the twisty infield section, but he is making it work, and Abi Putra at the front of the field is also making it work. So BMW and Porsche locking out the front four positions. Good run there from the BMW. Does he have enough speed to carry into the first corner as the gap goes down to 0.15 of a second? Let's see. Seems like he could have a shot, but no, just missing that extra bit of speed. I think Joel Estornino there in order to make the move. Not going to happen this time around. Oh, and Grant Crow and Kevin Wang making, I think, a bit of contact. Grant Crow getting his, I think Kevin went past Grant Crow there for a second in the first corner. That's probably is what happened, and then they made some contact, and Grant got his position back. Let's see the replay.
Kevin on the inside, Grant on the outside through the main straight, and now they come into the first corner. So it did like, yes, there we go.
I have to say, Kevin was on the limit there, mid-corner, and after that, his car was sliding, and that would have been a fantastic overtake and also a very, very, daring overtake. So I'm not blaming it too much on Grant, to be honest, because Kevin was really on the limit there, tires squealing, car sideways. So it only took, his trajectory was a bit unpredictable. And when your car is in that kind of position and situation, it only takes one little bit of contact to send you around. That's sadly what happened, even though Kevin only lost the one position.
Riding on board Estornino again, who still sits in P4, and his battle for the final podium position continues. As I try to grab a mosquito from my room, Charlie currently sitting in P3.
It's been 3 weeks that mosquito has been running around in your room, or it's like the grandson of that mosquito you killed 3 weeks ago, trying to get revenge on you.
Grandson indeed, because they're just more and more in my room and my house. Gap between Charlie and S1M currently extended a little bit up to 0.6 of a second, now probably breaching that. So as we look at how these drivers make their way through that corner that Joel just made through, it's quite a difficult one. So it is a matter of cutting the corner just that much enough for you to maintain your momentum but not get a slowdown penalty. Full throttle through the final corner they come. Now I do believe this corner is kind of diamond treated with I believe diamonds, or rather than it's kind of improved with using diamonds. So not exactly safe for the Formula 1 tires, but these cars make it through no problem at all.
Yes, you were right in bringing that up. It was quite an embarrassment of a race, 2005 US Grand Prix. But yeah, luckily we don't have that kind of issues here, as we see Jaisrin Jolly in front of these two guys with a little bit of a connection issue, because he was disappearing and reappearing, and very much I like that when you are appearing and and disappearing, iRacing does it like Harry Potter style, and you leave behind you plumes of smoke, just to give a bit more of a scenic effect at your constantly appearing and disappearing. But he's still back there, so his connection seems to be able to hold for the time being. And once again, I mean, Joel must be very frustrated right now, because he has been behind that Porsche for the past 18 minutes, I would say, and has not been able to, once again, just missing a bit of speed, just the extra bit of speed in order to complete the pass, but so far it's not possible.
Certainly not, because it's not difficult, neither it's not easy, neither is it difficult to maintain your position here, because once you have two cars with similar pace, you will require some effort to kind of break someone's rhythm. Let's have a look at some of the drivers further back, as we have just a couple of minutes left before the checkered flag comes down here at race 1. Jamal Gandour, one of our favorite drivers on the grid for a certain reason, currently sits in P8, and the next car behind him is well over 8 seconds behind him, so he is in a rather comfortable position. So it is up to him to surmount whatever pressure he can on Kevin, who sits just a second away up in P7.
Is it me, or did Jamal change car from last week?
It would appear to be, so I'm not too sure if that will sit well with the race stewards. Of course, SimRacers Asia does have an allowance for car changes, so long as you inform the race control. So we'll just leave it up to the race organizers to sort that out.
Yeah.
For benefit of the doubt, given to let's just give it a benefit of the doubt. I think the Porsche has the advantage at this circuit.
That being said, this SimRacing Middle East car is absolutely beautiful. It reminds me of the times of the Castrol, Honda, Toyotas back in the day of the the WRC and Super GT. Absolutely beautiful looking livery, I have to say.
Yes, it does remind me of some Alitalia livery.
Yes.
Years ago.
Also.
Yeah, old school, man. Those years. Nobody wasn't even.
Alitalia about to go down for the third time in the last 10 years, by the way, so that is all over the news here in Italy. But yeah, it has been also the the mainstay on the Lancia rally program for many years back in the days. So a livery that we all know and love here in Italy. But yeah, this I think this is the colors of the SimRacing Middle East, which are also and the colors of the flag of Lebanon on this beautiful car for Jamal Gandour. So he's sitting now in P8, trying to close the gap on Kevin Wang in front of him, as we go to Andika Maulana, Wylab Motorsport, driving with the Ford GTE, and not having the best of races, sitting in P12 and way behind the rest of the pack, because he's got Mark Lang 32 seconds in front of him. Sorry, 5 seconds in front of him, and Mark Lang is 32 seconds behind the top P10 driver Ferjan Pratama. So something that I think Andika wants to leave behind him very soon and get ready for the second races. We have 1 minute left of the 25 scheduled. Here is Abhi Putra, so I guess we should have 2 more laps. Let's see, or no, or maybe this is the final lap. Let's see, because we have got 40 seconds left. He is on the backstretch, so it's going to be very close. I think this will be the last lap, but as per usual, my maths are wrong most of the time. So let's see if we get this lap, finish the race, or if we get one more, as Abhi Putra is going back to the banked section. 15 seconds left. I think we might have one more, unless he lifts a bit, which I don't think he's doing. Here we go. Drum roll, everyone excited on the stands. I think, yes, one more lap to end this race.
Putra driving on fire. His I think there's some invisible fire behind this white BMW M8. Of course, it is the fire of the spirit that burns inside of Putra, as he. Yeah, I tried to paint a picture. I'm not sure if that works. He is 3.5 seconds ahead of his teammate. Now it is a turn of the tables, because last week his teammate was ahead of him. About a similar time difference, but this week it is Putra's turn to be ahead of dominant Ferry Stanley all season long. So now this will be the final lap, as Abhirafti Putra, having had a great drive all night long, had the best start, in fact, just 25 minutes ago, right across the brickyard. So it is up to this second half of the circuit, throwing the weight of his car to the left and to the right, to the left and to the right again, and now to the left again as he comes across the final slow corner before it is going to be a full throttle run all the way down to the main straightaway. Abhirafti Putra clear of his teammates, white lap teammates in P2 and P3, 3.4 seconds ahead of them, and it's going to be checker flag as Abhirafti Putra comes across the brickyard of the Indy Motor Speedway, and he wins race 1 of round 7 here. Ferry Stanley and Jasrin Jali round up your Y-Lap domination once again of SimRacers Asia, and they round up your podium.
As we see Ferdian Pratama here, Andika Maulana was under pressure from Mark Lang, but Mark made a mistake there, so I think P11 will be in the bag for Andika there. Then well, of course, it was the other way around. Maulana was putting pressure on Mark Lang, that then went into the gravel. I don't know. I think after an overtake from Maulana on Lang himself. Now Mark is back on the track, but he lost 1 position, so he is going to finish P12. One interesting tidbit that I forgot to mention behind the scene. Scott Newton told me that he could hear Joel Estornino hit the rev limiter on the front stretch, and that's maybe why he wasn't able to get a good move on Jasrin Jali. So maybe he can make a little bit of a setup tweak for the second race. He will start in P4, and we are waiting for Parivat Shukan to round up the results for this first race. And with that car, I still maintain needs to be a little bit more towards the front of the pack, because that is the best car in a fantastic grid of cars. But yeah, today he finishes in the last place of the running cars. As we are ready to go through the final results of race 1, which are also starting grid for race 2.
Thank you, Marco. Fantastic driving in race 1 by Abhirafti Putra. He begins from pole here at race 2 in Indy Motor Speedway. Ferry Stanley, his teammate, finished 3.4 seconds behind him. He starts from P2 alongside him in row 1. And Jasrin Jali locks out the Y-Lap top 3, who begins from 3rd. Joel Estornino, I do believe, suffered from some setup inconsistencies. He begins from P4, and Big Boss Peter Clouter starts from P5. Grand Crow begins from P6, Kevin Huang 7th, Jamal Gandour P8. Simon Sanchez and Ferdian Pratama round up your top 10 race starters. Andika Rama Maulana begins from P11, Mark Lang from 12th, Pariwat Chukan from 13th, and Garo Sarifin, it might look like he's lost connection here and there. He rounds up your grid of 14 strong tonight here at the Indy Motor Speedway.
Yes, so we are rolling from this beautiful aerial view inside Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You could fit a lot of stuff. They usually show the graphics before the Indy 500. They show that a lot of things could fit in there, including it is always put in those comparisons a bit of my city, because they show that well, technically not my city, but they show that St. Peter's could fit in inside, amongst many other things, all together inside the infield section here at Indianapolis, even though technically St. Peter's is not Rome. In reality, it is Rome. So yeah, just let me have a little bit of city pride in this. But yeah, this is absolutely a massive structure that doesn't. It's not really easy to to get the scope of how big this location is from TV cameras. But yeah, it's absolutely huge when you consider the fact that it can also host 400,000 spectators on race day for the oval races. And it's a bit sad that NASCAR isn't able to get consistent crowds anymore around here after the 2008 or 9 tire debacle, similar to what happened to F1, by the way. But for the Indy 500, it's always a fantastic show of racing and of course crowd filling the stands to capacity. As the pace car, Weyan, is about to take the hard right, and we're about to go racing for race 2. I want to say brilliant job by the organizers to solve the server issues, and they worked around those brilliantly to give us 2 races as per schedule.
As the safety car leads Abhi Putra, who also leads the rest of the field through the final corner. It is going to be under his command. Wow, nearly banging wheels there go the teammates. And green flag is in the air. Away we go at the Indy Motor Speedway. Abhi Putra gets a fantastic start. Once again, we go 3 wide between Joel Estornino, Jasri Jali, Ferry Stanley, and wow, what looks like a potential 4-5 wide there in the background. Super crazy racing action there in the background. Contact between Ferry Stanley and Joel Estornino. Around goes the wide lap cars and a huge pile of drama here at the Indy Speedway to begin race 2. Now the surviving drivers, Abhi Putra, Joel Estornino, Grand Crow, Simon Sanchez, Jamal Gandour, these drivers emerge survivors out of that drama that marred the start of this race.
Eracing Jari, the big loser, Grand Crow, the big winner, as Estornino goes into the grass there, losing several positions. I think he has a big issue with his car, because he's stalled back to the pit. So that contact was, I think, terminal for his race there at the very beginning. For a second, it looked like the start of the 2006 Indianapolis Grand Prix, the last race of Juan Pablo Montoya's F1 career, by the way. And he started a massive pile-up there in that very in the same corner. Luckily, we didn't have a lot of cars involved as in that particular crash, as Ferris Stanley also is having some issues and is out of the runnings. So basically, yes, we have Estornino out, Stanley out, Jali 11th. So big chance of a very different looking podium compared to race 1, and race 1 and race 2 of last week's race, for that matter.
Very much so indeed. Well, again, racing is racing. Things do happen in a blink of an eye, and it's just a matter of how well you respond to whatever stimuli that takes place around you. So your results, or rather your standings as they stand at this time. Abhi Putra in the lead with Grand Crow, which the cameras are on at the moment, in P2. Simon Sanchez, Peter Clouter, and Jamal Gandour round up the top 5. Kevin Huang not too far behind at all from Jamal Gandour, and the gap between them sits at 0.3 of a second, and they come to this section where you swing the weight of your car to the left and to the right, and soon after will be swinging away to the left again, as you can just see how much the car rolls from side to side, full throttle, as the drivers want to optimize the use of slipstream through this series of final corners. I can't really see the gear indicator of Kevin's car because the netting is blocking, but he now sits in the slipstream. What does look like a four-way battle pack at the moment, as we can just peek at Peter Cowiter in front, potentially making a move for the podium, which is currently held by Simon Sanchez. Now this is going to be exciting, as is Peter going to take the inside line? No, he just misses it out. But and so perhaps did Kevin. So Sanchez still holds on to P3 with Peter Cowiter along the outside. And I think it's just made a little bit of mistake, and the pack has begun to bunch up.
Yeah, Peter Cowiter now with a mistake that gives Jamal Gandour the chance to go for a move, almost 3 wide there with Kevin Wang as well. Seems like Sanchez has been able to get a little bit of rest from this great battle and pulling away just for a bit, but now Cowiter already coming back to him as Wang went past Gandour at the end of this scrap there. So we have Cowiter, Wang and Gandour 4th, 5th and 6th. Sanchez occupying the final podium spot right now in P3, but very much with a lot of work to do, because now also Andy Maulana has joined this party, as you can see in his black Ford.
Would look so, because Rama currently sits in P7 at the tail end of this 5-way battle pack, which may soon ensue in just a while's time. Peter up for a move along the inside of Simon Sanchez. Is he going to make the move stick as he makes his way through turn 1? It does appear that he does so. And the final podium position goes to Peter Cowiter as Simon Sanchez drops to P4. And it is probably going to be Kevin Huang up next.
Five minutes on the clock already. 25 minutes is the scheduled distance, as this fight for the podium seems to be absolutely on fire, as now Kevin Wang jumps Simon Sanchez and he puts his car into 4th place. But any one of these drivers here, these 5 drivers, can realistically have a shot at the podium, whilst seems like P1 and P2 are pretty much settled unless something crazy happens. This big 5-way fight, I hope we can carry this all the way to the final flag, because this is absolutely fantastic stuff from these drivers, as they are going to start lap 5 in just a bit. And here we go with Putra 22.7 and Crow 23.0, so il personal best at 23.2 for Cowiter, and yeah, also in the 23s we have Wang, 24th for Sanchez, but of course timing of these guys 3rd to 7th are a bit skewed because of the fact that they are fighting against each other.
Pace of all drivers looking great so far. As we just said, that Lord of Gondor has gone a little bit wide. I think he just wants to return to his kingdom back there through the grass. Andika Rama took advantage of that, and the AMD sponsor driver moves up to P6. Let me just zoom in at his livery for a little bit there. You can see the AMD logo on the bonnet of Rama's car. Simon Sanchez in P5, and will Rama make the attempt to go up to P5 as they come to this section where they throw the weight of their car from side to side. Optimizing the racing line goes both drivers through this corner, and it is going to be flat out through this final section.
Listen to the glorious sound of this Ford engine. I mean, this is absolutely fantastic. This growl, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Sorry, I'm a bit of a fanboy for Ford cars.
Sitting in the slipstream of Sanchez does Rama, effectively as they now go hard on the brakes. Of course, you do not want to brake too late here. It is rather difficult to spot your braking point, but once you do that, it's just a matter of repeating it lap after lap. As they make their way through this section, you want to retain as tight of a line as possible through this section in order to keep your lap time to a minimum, or rather your power loss to a minimum, if that sounds about right. Three-way battle pack as Jamal Gandour returns. Kingdom has arrived and he's now back to perhaps retake P6 from Brahma. This is a three-way battle pack led by Simon Sanchez.
So yes, these three guys here losing a bit of contact on the guys in front of them. Still looking good to put on an entertaining show. As the Ford is in the middle, the BMW in front, the Porsche in the back. As lap 7 starts right now, 8 minutes on the clock as they take the high banks, somewhat high banks of Indianapolis once again. And back on the start-finish line as Grant Crow gets his personal best once again, 23.0. Peter Clawiter now under pressure from Kevin Wang. Kevin having a very, very nice race after, a decent race one, but, with a bit of unlucky contact. So let's see if he's able to put some pressure on Peter. Once again, it's fantastic to have him back in this championship. And he's already proving that he hasn't lost his speed and his pace.
Peter has been trying to be faced with some commitments in real life that he had to tend to, but that is well tended to, and he is able to enjoy a little bit of time here with us here in sim racing within the iRacing circles here. That we are of course appreciative to have him around in our presence. P3 and the gap between himself and Kevin Huang sits at just half a second. Now his teammate Grant Crow sits in P2, somewhere further down in front, further up in front, and they are separated by 3 whole seconds. Now they go full throttle through this banked corner. Well, look at it this way, in road racing terms, it is a rather steep banking, but in the NASCAR world, it is quite a shallow one. As Kevin attempts to take the outside line, Peter still has the advantage of positioning his car at the right place at the right time, and he retains P3. Kevin just not close enough to make that move up for the podium position.
Yeah, it seems like the outside is not working there in the first corner. So, and of course, the drivers then who are in front are always going to defend on the inside, which seems to be the winning decision so far. Let's see, because once again we've seen many drivers. I think actually Kevin was the only one able to complete a pass in that first corner in the first race. Then sadly a bit of contact sent him spinning after he made that move. But remember, to make that move, Kevin had to basically lock his 4 tires and go sliding into that first corner. So not easy at all.
Certainly not. As it just goes to show how interesting this circuit is, because it is flat, but at the same time you do have to be careful with your inputs. As we just said, that Peter goes ultra defensive by sticking all the way in the inside. Now, because this is a high-speed section, you do not lose that much time if you decide to take the inside line after that final corner, but he swerves just a little bit out wide before taking that corner. All the way up to the rear bumper comes Kevin Huang. Of course, this is them being ultra competitive at this time. Peter still sits in P3 and Kevin fighting it out hard, as he always does here in SimRacers Asia. Now let's look at some possible battles that may be unfolding further back in the grid. I do have my sights set on Jamal Gandour and Simon Sanchez, P7 and P6 respectively. The gap between them sits right now at 0.2 of a second as they now head to the back stretch at the infield section.
It's Macau versus Lebanon as they go into the final section of the infield course. No way through here. You really need to just follow the racing line. You cannot get creative or anything. And it seems like Jamal has a good exit from the infield section. Could have a real chance in the first corner, but let's see if Sanchez defends on the inside like we've seen many drivers do.
Full throttle goes Jamal Gandu as he takes on Simon Sanchez along the inside. He comes, of course, having the momentum advantage. Jamal dives along the inside and he takes P6 from Simon Sanchez.
Contact. Simon Sanchez, I think, hit also the wall there. So very unlucky ending to a great battle with Sanchez heading for the daisies and I think hitting the tire barrier, not at a very high speed, but of course he's losing massive amounts of time. He's now well behind Gandour, 6 seconds, almost 7, and I think that he needs to be looking at the back for Pariwat coming for him instead of looking in front of him, because I think Gandour is running away now with P6 and very unfortunate contact with Jan, because they were putting on a fantastic show and a great battle between the two of them.
It was a great battle that these drivers had all race long up till that point. But Jamal emerged with a little bit more advantage as we now look back at Kevin Huang versus Peter Clauter.
A mistake from Peter, and Kevin gets the position. So change for the podium, and Kevin with his Ford, Eracing Sports, moves up to the 3rd place. And that's one way you can make a move around here, by putting some pressure on your opponent or hoping for a mistake.
That is the trick to Indy Road, isn't it? Now as we come back to live pictures, I think it does seem like replay, thanks Scott. Interesting aero kit that Charlie has with a specific skill to the rear spoiler. I think he sustained some damage earlier on.
Yeah, I think in the pile-up in the very first corner of the first lap. As we are back live then. And the cameras, with 10 minutes left in the race, are on our race leader, Abhi Putra, winner of race 1, looking very good for race 2. He's got 7 seconds over Kevin Wang, and 11 seconds over, 7 seconds over Grant Crow, and 11 seconds over Kevin Wang in 3rd place. So right now we don't have any battle on the field, but that's gives us just a little bit of time to rest. Because they have been two very action-packed races. Absolutely, once again putting on a show, these guys, for us to bet for that pile up at the very beginning of the race that cost us several drivers. As also, I'm seeing Simon Sanchez in the pits, so that hit with the wall apparently caused some damage to his car, and this BMW a bit too fragile, I might say, because we've seen a couple of not very big hits to the front right, one for Estornino and one for Sanchez, and they both had to call it a day and jump back to the pits.
Certainly. Despite the layout of this circuit, well, racing takes no prisoners, and it does always happen that cars get broken here and there. Grant Crow still sitting in P2, and he sits what looks like 7 seconds behind race leader Abhirafti Putra. So with not too much time left to the end of race 2, we observe Grant Crow coming along the final corner. Of course, he's got pretty much nobody around him, so he does seem to be a little bit comfortable. But then again, when you're this high up in the grid, in the standings, it's going to be a matter of maintaining your pace and making sure that you don't suddenly become distracted. Kevin Huang sits at 3.7 seconds behind Grant Crow in P3, and ISR SIMSA teammate Peter Cowiter in P4, just a second behind him. So they've had a battle earlier on, where Kevin, I believe, was behind Peter. I may be wrong, but Kevin now currently in the final podium position.
So in the back of the field, Jaiserin Jali is closing in on Pariwat Shukan. And here we go, the two Porsches, one with a slightly updated aero package, like you were saying earlier, of Jaiserin Jali, and he's trying to get as many points as possible from a race that really was not good from the very start, as Pariwat makes a mistake. And it's easy work for Jaiserin Jali, P7 for him. I don't think he's going to get more than that, because next car is Jamal Kandur and is 14 seconds in front of Jaiserin. So I think he will have to settle for P7 for the time being. That was of course a race that was on the in a tough position, just in the very first corner, being involved in that pileup. And I think he can count himself very, very lucky that he was able to get back on the racetrack and salvage some points out of this race. As so Chukan will have to settle right now for P8, and he is in a good position because Ferjan Pratama is 12.9 seconds away, so no risks of losing that position unless the driver from Thailand makes a big mistake.
Good to see Pratama racing at here in SimRacing Asia. He currently sits in P9, and it's always a joy chatting with him right after the race here and there. Just a nice person to talk to, I would imagine. He is 12 seconds behind Pariwat Chukana, as I believe you've just mentioned, and Mark Lang behind him sits just 6.66 seconds away. So how convenient! Now the Godfather himself, in quite appropriate looking paint scheme, black and purple. Of course, you can't go wrong with that if you are the Don of sim racing in Asia. He sits in P10, and his fastest lap at this point in time is 1 minute 24.82. So it is a little bit far from the race leader, but he is having a good time racing here in Indianapolis.
Absolutely, and that car looks very, very smart, I have to say. It almost looks like the front of the car is like having a suit on top of a I don't know how you say it, but a very, very elegant formal dress, I should say. With the if you look at, it's I apologize, but it's your fault for giving me the idea of the Godfather cosplay from Mark Lange there. He's having a quiet race there, last of the running cars, but enjoying and P10 will bring home some good points. As once again, he is absolutely to appreciate what he did today, because he saved the racing day for sure today. So with his quick thinking and expertise behind the scenes, and setting up the session and saving the session basically. So thank you, Mark, for your great job. We have 4 minutes left in this race, as Kevin Wang was under pressure from Peter Clawiter, but Peter Clawiter made a small mistake, and this means that Kevin has a little bit of breathing room now. You can see from the rear view camera of the Ford, the Porsche is 1.3 seconds away, so it's looking like Kevin can really bring this podium home, and it will be a very well-deserved podium. He was the most proactive driver in race 1 together with Joel Estornino, and he was able to finally make the move in this race on Peter Clawiter by putting pressure on the driver in front of him and forcing him into making a mistake. And that's, like I said, probably the only way to go today with a field disbalanced and cars this well meshed with each other. So good for Kevin. Now the hard part of taking it home, and it's never easy, but he only has to hold on for 3 more minutes.
Gap between them sits at 1.5 seconds. But then again, in racing, anything can happen within this short span of time. So let's just hope that, whilst we hope that Kevin is able to hold on to his position, we do still want to see some racing action that would always be welcome, even at this time in the race. Race leader Abhirafti Putra has extended his lead ahead of Grant Crow to a full 8-second gap. So I think he does seem to be comfortable at this point in this ice white BMW M8. Well, it just kind of fits the car really, you know, a huge car, but with a paint scheme that makes it look even more massive in size.
Like an iceberg.
Pretty much, yeah. You do not want to come into contact with him, or you'll sink down into the, or you sink into the runoff section of the circuit. As he comes through this section, because he's in quite a heavy car, he does have to take this section a little bit more careful, be more conservative on the weight transfer of the car, because it does swing the car laterally quite a lot. As he comes through the sequence of 2 corners, full throttle at this point of time, and with not too much time left until the checkered flag. Full throttle through this diamond cut, banked oval turn 1 road final corner as he comes across the start finish line for I can't remember how many times tonight, and his gap has kind of still maintained around 8 seconds ahead of Grant Crow.
So it's going to be once again very close. So we shall know in just in 1 minute or so if this is the final lap or not, because it's very close to when Abby got past the start finish line for his 18th lap to start. Sorry. Andika Maulana, a nice comeback race, sitting in P5 for YLab Motorsport. So a bittersweet race too for YLab, because they lost along the way Ferry Stanley, of course, and Jaisrin Jali had some massive issues, but Abhi Putra looking to make it 2 out of 2. And Andika Maulana with a nice comeback, possibly finishing in 5th place.
Stellar driving by Andika Rama. This the right as back to the car and quite a nice acoustic experience to go with the sight of this beautifully designed car. Even though it's German, it does look that sharp and menacing.
I saw the livery for the BMW of the Red Bull esports team earlier. I enjoy a chat every once in a while with Sebastian Job, and that car looks absolutely fantastic. So I think it's racing today in the VRS GTE Endurance Championship, World Championship, that is in Imola, if I'm not mistaken. And that car, any livery, thank you, Scott, any livery on this car looks amazing, and it's absolutely fantastic to have this car in iRacing. It really looks the part. Abhi Putra will be the happiest BMW driver in the world today, because Wei-An is about to make 2 out of 2 in Indianapolis.
2 out of 2 indeed, as he comes along the right banked corner for, is this going to be a final time? Yes, it is a final time. Full throttle down the main straightaway and across the brickyard for the second time tonight, taking victory once again, leading YLab's great performance here tonight. Grant Crow, great to see him here, finishing in P2.
Klawiter in 4th, so Wang is in 3rd, Maulana 5th, waiting for Kandur and Jali to cross the start finish line. Chukan Pratama
had to be cut off a little bit for the back there. Jasrin Jali currently in P7. Thank you so much, Marco, for covering for me. comes home in P7 across the brickyard. Of course, it's always nice to have that bit of heritage left over there. Ferdian Pratama comes across, of course, the final corners as well. His car doesn't look all that fast. Of course, he's picking up speed now as he makes his way through the right-hander for the final time. And he rounds up the top 9 of the participation here tonight. He comes home in P9, and the boss man himself, Mark Lang, will make his way through the brickyard to round up the top 10 here at Indianapolis.
And yes, that will be that for race 2. We are just waiting for the results to come on your screen. Then we will have, hopefully, some interviews with always nice SRA drivers. As you can see, the view from high above, Abiputra, your race winner, 8 seconds in front of Grand Crow, Kevin Wang in 3rd, Klauiter is in 4th, and Andika Maulana in 5th, 19 seconds away from the lead. Alkandur, 7th place for Jaisrin Jali, while Ab Motorsport, Pariwachukan, Privateer, 51 seconds behind them. Ferjan Pratama, Mark Lang, and these were all the drivers that finished the race, and sadly having to retire, Simon Sanchez and Joel Estornino, 2 Macau SimRacing drivers, and Ferris Stanley, while Garo Sarafian couldn't take the start in race 2 as well. So not a good day at the office for in the second race, especially for Macau SimRacing. Bad luck for both Sanchez and Estornino. And yes, that was race 2 here from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. As we are waiting for drivers to come on board for interviews, we will remind you to don't miss next week, 25th of May, same time, 12 GMT. We are going to be running around Mount Panorama, and then we will have Le Mans and on the 1st of June, and on the 8th of June, as you can see on the screen right now, the grand finale at Road America. So I would say that we are finishing the season very strong. I mean, the whole calendar has been fantastic with all tracks with a big sports car racing pedigree. Of course, away on Mount Panorama is going to be a tricky one for, especially I will say, I want to say the obvious, and I apologize for the BMW drivers as well, especially, sorry, considering the way that car, how much big that car is, but still, and in any case, GTEs around Mount Panorama are going to be a handful, I would imagine, with not much room for errors.
It always beats prototypes around Mount Panorama, but GT racing around the Bathurst do provide a great spectacle for all of us. It will be our first and I think only outing to Down Under of this season here on SimRacers Asia, as it mirrors the official Eracing Le Mans series. Now, as we wait for any drivers who may be interested in coming for post-race interviews, we do still have a little bit of time left before the broadcast comes to an end for the night.
Yes, and while we wait for the drivers, I think, I will hold on that thought, because Wei-An, here we go with the returning Peter Klauiter, and he is all yours.
Thank you, Marco. It is good to see you back here racing again, Mr. Klauiter. I hope you've been having a good day so far yourself. Congratulations on your racing result. Of course, you were holding on to the final podium position, but Kevin, of course, came along and you guys had a great battle, and you had to settle for P4 as the race came to a close. Please share with us the race from your perspective.
Very, very shy Peter Klauiter, who is talking, but we cannot hear him. Yeah, we cannot hear him. We see his there, but it's trying to talk to us, but it's not working, sadly. So hopefully he can sort it. In the meantime, we can get Mark Lange if you want, Wei-An.
Let's go for it.
And it is. He's all yours.
Thank you again, Marco. Hope you're having a good evening yourself, Mark. Yeah, we were just commenting about your. He has disappeared
Oh,
from
wow.
the
We are
conversation.
not lucky today with interviews. Third time's the charm, Grant Crow.
Third time's a charm indeed, Marco. Grant, good to see you here again tonight. Hope you've been having a good day yourself over in Dubai. And congratulations for coming home P2 here at Round 7 here at Indy Motor Speedway. Please share with us the race from your perspective. Oh dear.
Oh dear, it's not our day with interviews, eh? uh, trying to sort this out. I don't know what's going on with microphones in the Asia region on iRacing, but yeah, while we let's try one more time, okay? Jamal Gandour, can we do it, Wayan?
I would imagine so. So because the cases that there have been some issues with
Oh,
reality of
I
the
can hear
sport.
something coming from his mic.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes!
No,
Sorry, guys.
finally, fourth time.
Yeah, the guys, Peter and Grant, had a difficulty getting to you, so I chose to. It's blocked. It's blocked from maybe UAE, so that's sad. But I'm here to say thank you for everything. Thank you for your nice commentary, and I think Peter would like to thank you for this championship, and yeah, that was great. I'm
Thank you so much.
actually being the middleman right now, hearing Peter in one ear and trying to transmit the message to you. He's saying he's sorry that he cannot be in the interview.
No, that's all right. I mean, yeah, I mean, some issues here too, difficult to be circumvented. But yeah, thank you so much, Peter, for your presence.
And he thanks Apex Racing TV, you as the commentators, and SRA as well.
Very much. We do really appreciate that.
And he is very happy to be back, and he had amazing time with some of the guys here driving, including Kevin, Grant, me, and the rest. And he would be looking forward for the next round.
That's great to hear. We do wish Peter all the best, as well as Grant Crow, also from ISR SIMSA. Likewise to yourself, Jamal. I hope you've had a good day, and I do wish you all the best for subsequent races to come. Now, Jamal, would you also like to please share with us the race from your perspective and what your opinions are of the season so far?
I'm this week driving new equipment, so I decided to shift from the Ferrari. I don't think Marco would like that, but yeah, I had to try something else. Um, yeah, and the Porsche, in some way or another, is how to say, more like a glove into my hand. Even though the pace is not there at the moment, but I'm still trying to get myself in. Um, the race was for me like I've always ended up in a area where there's space behind me, there's a little space in front of me, so only two spicy moments, one including with Sanchez. I don't know, we had a little touch on the turn one, so if it was my mistake, I'm extremely sorry, but I don't think so. We had enough space to give each other, but unfortunately we ended up touching. But the race was good, and I'm really looking forward for the next round.
That's great to hear, Jamal. Now, may I also just hand you over to Marco if he'd like to ask you any questions?
Yes, the usual question about what's coming up, and that is Mount Panorama next week. Certainly not, an easy track to tackle, I would imagine, in these big GTE cars.
Oh my God! It's one of the most feared circuits in iRacing, or at least for me. I know I really love the circuit and its tradition. But and Peter is looking forward to it, by the way. But for me, it's more of a terror with the OSW that I use, is that you're not allowed to touch any walls whatsoever. So you're dodging walls all the time. So it will take a lot of practice. But I'm really looking forward for that.
Yeah, thank you very much, man. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
I would like to thank you guys for every week being there, and I would also like Apex Racing TV, SRA, SIMSA, and all who's responsible for this championship. Keep it coming.
Thank you very much, man, and we'll catch you next week then.
See you then.
And so I think with Grant and Peter waiting in the interview room, I think we already tried with them, if I'm not mistaken. So we are out of drivers to interview, sadly. So, but yeah, that was a very nice round once again. I honestly cannot wait for next week, Weian, because that is going to be absolutely crazy. Hopefully, we get a good number of drivers because Mount Panorama is always a magic place to have some racing.
Sure, dude. Now, well, I do still feel tempted to give Grant a
Yeah,
go at
let's
this
try
moment
this.
because
But
Yes, Grant Crow, welcome to the interview room.
Hang on.
Oh no, it disappeared. Oh man, what is it today with the interviews?
oh dear. Yeah, I do think I was beginning to sort some things out on TeamSpeak because TeamSpeak is accessible over in the United Arab Emirates, but it appears that Discord unfortunately does have some limitations in that territory. So, some issues that do kind of get in the way of what would otherwise be a good experience here.
So while we wait if Grant is going to come back, Weian, why don't you give your usual shout out to our fantastic sponsors for this championship?
Sure, will do. Let me just look for the description text. I'll have to scroll it up. I do apologize. I do have to continue looking for.
Not an issue. We want to give our sponsors the best shout outs possible, and it's because of them that these broadcasts are possible once again. And if I'm not mistaken, the championship is free to run for the drivers. So if you want to give it a shot, it's I would say a friendly time for us in Europe, especially. You can and actually Mark Lang has personally contacted me if if I want to spread the word here in Europe about drivers wanting to try their hands at SRA competition. So feel free to contact the organizers. I think there is a big post in the hosted forum in the racing official forums, so you can find all the infos there. And I really strongly suggest you participate in this league because it has a unique format and it's very big competition against drivers that you don't normally race against in the official series due to time differences. But 12 GMT on a Saturday, it's quite accessible even for us in Europe, especially if you have the Saturday off from work or if you go to school, because especially here in Italy, many schools are closed on Saturdays. So now, when I went back to school, this wasn't the case. So you have the time to get a run into this championship, and it follows the official Le Mans series calendar, so you don't have to prepare for an extra race during the week.
Of course, thank you for doing this shout out, Marco. This series of magnificence, the magnificent series that is the SimRacers GTE series of 2019, is presented by SIMSA and the Macau-China SimRacing Association. SIMSA, otherwise known as the SIMulation MotorSports Asia state-of-the-art e-racing platform, as well as racing simulators for all the e-racing fans out there. This affinity was established in the year 2015 by experienced racing drivers, directed at providing a dedicated ground where e-racers from all around the globe can participate and compete with each other. The approach is focused on broadening the e-racing community on an international scale, along with offering incomparable consultancy services and guidance to take e-racing and esports to the next level. Macau-China SimRacing Association has also come on board to power this series. They are the first association of sim racing registered in Macau and Southeast Asia, done so by a group of passionate and experienced sim racers who seek to develop sim racing to another level in Macau and the region. The association develops potential sim drivers to represent Macau to compete in the national and international series. Very grateful to have both these entities on board with us as we look forward to a future with more collaboration and value creation with our friends.
Absolutely, absolutely. And before we go, just let me give you a rundown of what's coming on Apex Racing TV, starting from just a few hours away from now, the penultimate round of Season 6 of the Euroviet Supercar Championship, with the title still in the balance. We will be running 2 races from beautiful Hulton Park before the big finale 2 weeks from now from Snetterton. That will be at 18 GMT, so don't miss that. On Monday, we are going to have at 19:15 GMT BSR MX5s, the Amateur Cup for the penultimate round of the season as well. Later in the night from Monza, Ricmotech World Challenge. Then on 10:45 GMT in the morning of Tuesday, or I guess yes, it's going to be late in the day for the drivers, of course, on the other side of the world. But yes, 10:45 GMT on Tuesday for the official IMSA SOF race for the Oceanic region, and then later that day at 18 GMT the strength of field race for the VRS GT Sprint Series. Also at 18:15 GMT, 19:15 GMT, we're going to have the BSR MX5 Pro Series on the iRacing Esports Network, presented by Apex Racing TV. Then on Wednesdays, as per usual, we are going to have at 19 GMT Sim Racers World. They are going to come back for a 1-hour race in their midway point through the championship from beautiful Imola. And then on Thursday, of course, at 19:15 GMT, BSR TC is back, and big changes on the horizon for the championship, with the TCR car coming soon-ish from iRacing. And then back to Saturday at 12 GMT, we will be back, me, Scott, Wayan, from for the SRA GTE series, once again 12 GMT from Mount Panorama. So always a lot to look forward to here on Apex Racing TV. So don't miss what's coming up. And Wayan, if you wish, you can close the broadcast. Oh, of course, once again, IMSA at Montreal is the race that we are having at 10:45 GMT. So a nice racetrack full of speed and chicanes in the official IMSA series. Once again, Scott and the rest of the Oceanic crew are going to do that 10:45 GMT on Tuesday. So, Wayan, I leave the microphone to you to bring this broadcast to a close.
It has been Scott Newton behind the cameras, providing us ever so excellent perspectives of the race week in and week out, and Marco Barbanera alongside myself. My name is Chan Wei Han, and this has been round 7 of the SimRacers Asia GTE Series 2019, presented by SIMSA and Macau-China SimRacing Association. We bid you a good day ahead, whether or not you're in the Western, Eastern, or Central Hemisphere, if that makes sense. Have a good day ahead, and we will see you in the next broadcast.